guys, and welcome to the Talk of Fame podcast. And today I'm introducing you to Ruby Del Rio. Ruby formerly began her modeling career in 2022 when she was discovered by a modeling agency. Later on at the agency, she realized that she had talent in the field of acting. It was at that time that she was selected among hundreds of children, young people, and adults to participate in the IMTA in New York last summer, where she won many awards, including Best Preteen Actress. There, she was requested by several agencies, but which she has worked, and others in which she continues to work currently. She has participated in a small role in a movie, which has not been released yet, in commercials, fashion shows, runways, and has worked on a clothing campaign in New York. Ruby, starting her career, continues to prepare for all the great opportunities that come in 2024. She is currently represented by acting and modeling agencies in Connecticut, New York, and Florida. Ruby was born in Puerto Rico and traveled with her family to the United States when she was about 2 months old to attend her older brother's medical complications. Ruby loves God above all things, and she loves to draw, paint, read, create stories, and model. In short, everything related to art. Thank you so much, Ruby, for joining us for today's episode. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you coming on at a time. I love everything you're doing.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be able to be on your podcast today.
Thank you so much. So, like, how did, a modeling agency kind of approach you to become a model in 2022?
Well, it started when a scout saw some of my pictures from my mother's Instagram, and they decided to scout me out, and they wanted me to do an audition for them. So I did the audition for them, and they decided to sign me with them. And they've been my mother agency, and they're a really, really great agency.
And once I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, for such a young age, that's really amazing. Like, how has your experience been in modeling so far?
It's been really a great experience to be able to just experience all the things that are just coming for me.
Yeah, definitely. And like, how has, working with a modeling agency kind of helped you gain confidence as a model? Because I know with being a model, it takes a lot of confidence to come on stage and walk in front of a lot of people.
Well, definitely there's a lot of encouragement from the agency, and also in some master classes for modeling, you get a lot of tips and tricks to kind of help you with confidence.
Ooh, like what are some tips and tricks you learned? Because I know with me, I always struggle with confidence, so I always love to hear all these type of things.
All right, so one of the ones that I've learned is that if you're doing a runway and you struggle with eye contact, then you can sort of look a little bit above the person that's watching you from the front or whatever side. You can look a little bit above their head. So that kind of helps with the struggling with eye contact a little bit.
Ooh, I never knew that. I have to do something like that in front of people. That's a great tip. But like, how do you, I know you're an actor as well besides modeling, but how did you kind of discover your talent for acting when doing modeling for different agencies?
Well, I myself didn't actually think I had any talent for acting. It
Mhm.
was actually my parents because they always knew I was a very great artist because ever since I could pick up a pencil, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an artist. And in kindergarten, I won my first art competition. Then that happened again in second grade. Then again, just a couple days ago.
Ooh.
And I actually got in the town paper 3 times. And as you can imagine, my parents were very happy about that. And so, since they knew I already was like had a lot of talents, they saw that I could do acting as well. And I also got very encouraged by my agency to do acting classes. So I ended up taking them, and I've enjoyed acting ever since.
Ooh, that's amazing. Like I'm a big art person as well. So anytime I get to do art, I'm amazing. But as I say, I'm horrible at art. I'm bad, but I'm sure you're like have better talent at art than I do. But what's your kind of favorite form of art?
My favorite form of art, I really just like to sketch things. I like
Mm.
to use light and shadows. I like to draw landscapes. I think that's my probably my favorite form of just drawing.
Ooh, that's a good one. I am bad at sketching and drawing, but that's probably one of my favorites as well. How long have you been drawing? Since kindergarten, or did you kind of start before that?
I think I started a little bit before that. It was just as long as I can remember, I've just been drawing.
Oh, same here. Like, I don't know why, but I always had like an artistic personality. So anytime I drew, I'm just like, I didn't care how bad it was. I was like, okay, I'm drawing. That's the most important thing. But what was it like for you to participate in IMTA?
Well, even though this wasn't the main focus of the IMTA, I think it's still one of the most important pieces, which is the master classes that were kind of sprinkled through for two different reasons. The first one is opportunities, because sometimes you get opportunities to show yourself and let's say present your monologue to the people making the master class, and they can give you a little bit of criticism so you can do better when your monologue competition comes up. So you feel a little more secure. And the other reason is growth, because like I said before, if you have a chance to show them something and they give you criticism, you're going to learn from that. You're going to grow from that, which is, I think it's always very important. And you're also just getting seen by a lot of people during your competitions. But I personally don't like to call them competitions. I'd rather call them events because I don't really like competing against other people.
Hmm.
And on the final day, that's callback day, where you get your callbacks from all sorts of people that have seen you. And I imagine if anyone watching this ever goes to the IMTA, they're going to get a bunch of callbacks because if I can do it, then you can too.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know with being competitions, I rather prefer with events as well because I also hate a competition. Even though I'm very competitive, I rather just have it as an event than actually being competitive. But what was like your favorite part of the whole thing?
Well, it definitely had to be one of the events that I went to, which was a cold read competition. And I decided to give it a little twist. So I decided to kind of dress up like kind of country-ish and put on a southern accent. So I was just walking into there and I actually brought a lollipop with me. So I was doing the cold read looking like a country girl eating a lollipop.
Ooh, I love that. That is such a great idea. Oh, that actually made my day. But are you a country fan? Are you a country music fan, or you don't like country music?
I love country music. It's probably one of my favorite kinds of music.
Like, same here. Do you have any favorite artists in country, or are you kind of like everyone?
I just like everything country music.
Like, have you ever been to Nashville, or you never been?
Um, I I don't think so, but it sounds very interesting, and I think I'd like to go.
Yeah, Nashville is honestly an amazing place. It's like the home of country music. I never been either, but it's such an amazing place to kind of visit if you are a country music fan. I totally recommend if anyone's a country music fan. But for the IMTA, like of course it was based in New York, but was that your first time in New York during that process, or have you been there multiple times before?
Actually, it was my first time, and it was a really great experience because even though for the whole week that IMTA took place, you were pretty much just practicing and going to events and master classes, so there really wasn't enough time to like kind of look around. But I did actually get to go to Central Park, which with
Mm.
my family, which was really cool. And at the end of it all, we got to go to this little breakfast restaurant with really good food.
Oh, that sounds good. Because I live 2 hours outside New York City, so I visit often, and at that Central Park, and all the food there is actually amazing. It's all your food's so good, especially the pizza.
Yeah.
But what are some things you do to grow as an actor and model?
Well, I think that like when you're like growing, I know a lot of people have heard this before, but it's really just practice. You just have to keep practicing and practicing and practicing. And if you're doing acting, then self-tapes and auditions, you're getting practice from that because you keep growing and you feel more confident doing that. And with modeling, then you're doing photo shoots and runways, and then you feel more confident doing that in front of people because you're doing it more often.
For
So,
sure. Like I know that it's very cliche to say, but it's like I know a lot of people say practice is perfect. And I know with practice, it does take a lot of time and dedication to grow. I think you made a great point by saying practice is a very big tool in terms of being an actor. Because of course, acting and modeling is such a tough industry to get into. And I think practice is always a big like tool to become like a big kind of model or an actor.
yeah.
But do you have any upcoming projects this year, or is it up in the air currently?
Well, just a few days ago, I actually did a live audition in New York where I had to speak a little bit in Italian and sing a little bit in Italian. And I don't know Italian, but if someone needs me to learn Italian, Japanese, whatever, I'll do it.
Whoa, you are more confident than me. Oh my gosh, I could never do it in such like short period of time. I could never.
Mhm.
But do you like how can people connect with you on social media?
Well, I have an Instagram account, so that would definitely work. It's just my name, Ruby Del Rio, Ruby with an I, and you can see my whole journey. And if you're interested in more of my things from IMTA, that's the place to look at it too.
Perfect. To wrap this episode up, I have a couple of fun questions for you to wrap this up. But the first one I have is if you could work with any model or actor, who would it be?
It would have to be my Instagram friend Huntley Plants
Oh,
because
that's a good one.
because we've been Instagram friends for a long time and supporting each other's journeys. And I think he's a really great person and a really great actor.
He definitely is. I interviewed Huntley a couple months ago. He's such an amazing human being, and he's just amazing at what he does. And he's my overall human being. So that is such a great choice. But who is your favorite artist? Do you have a favorite artist?
Yes, I do. And that would have to be the Puerto Rican artist Hector Rivera. I think not only is he an artist, but he's also an actor and a model like me. And I think his whole journey is just very inspiring, and his art is just very beautiful.
Oh, I have to check him out. I never heard of him before, so I'll have to make sure to check him out after this interview. But what do you read any books? If so, what type of books do you like to read?
I like to read a mixture of fantasy and action books, such as one of my favorite book series, which is Wings of Fire. It's
Ooh,
basically a series about a bunch of dragons, and I just think dragons are really cool. So
definitely. I'm a big avid reader, so I have to check that book out because I'm always looking for recommendations. So if anyone has any recommendations, feel free to let me know. But the last one I have for you is what is your dream place to travel?
well, I have two. And the first one has to be Japan, just because I
Ooh.
think Japan is like a really interesting place, and there's just so many interesting things about Japan. And the second one is Puerto Rico, because even though I was born there, most of my memories from Puerto Rico are pretty old because I was there when I was just very young and I don't really remember any of it. And I want to be able to experience the culture, the few food, the music again, and just in person.
Oh, that's some great choices. I know with being so young, it can be very hard to remember. I know I can't remember as much from when I was a child. So that is Puerto Rico is an amazing choice. I never been to Puerto Rico, but I always wanted to. So I'll make sure to say to if that ever happens. But thank you so much, Ruby, for joining us today. I love having you on and spotlighting you. Everything you're doing at such a young age is amazing, and um and if anyone is listening and want to connect with her, I totally recommend check out our social media. But thank you so much, Ruby, for coming on and joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It was a really great time.
Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.